Turn it up, it's the pancake and power slam. Turn it up, it's the pancake and power slam. Turn it up, it's the pancake and power slam show. Turn it up, it's the pancake and power slam. Turn it up, it's the pancake and power slam. Turn it up, it's the pancake and power slam show. Turn it up.
Yo, what is up, everybody? We are here. Let's get some music going on, man. Let's do this. Yeah, let's do this, man. What's up, everybody? We are here for episode where we at? 682 or something like that. Something or other. Of that caliber there. 682 episodes, y'all. 682 episodes. Yeah, let me turn this up, man. Let's go. It's share time. Come on in, y'all. Share time. You know how we do here on PNP, man. We get it going. We have a good time. We lounge. We are highly intellectual people here on the Pancakes and Power Slam show. If you join this live stream, I am trusting that your intellect and EQ levels, IQ and EQ, are up, high. You are intellectually astute, and you bring a different vibe to the pro wrestling world of being highly intellectual. And that's what we do here on the Pancakes and Power Slam show. We're all students in the game of life. In PNP, students are in the class with the doctor. And I'm going to be teaching another class today, just like I do every single week. First of all, thank y'all, man. I went out on a whim. I was like, man, I love teaching. I'm a college professor. I love to teach. So we're doing these classes all the time, every single week. And y'all like it. Y'all like it so much that I've gained like 400 followers in the past few months on YouTube. So y'all sharing, y'all promoting, and I'm over 1,000 subs now. Let's go. Let's go. Thank you so much for your continued support. Chat room filling up, live stream filling up, man. Y'all know how to love on a brother, and y'all know how to support a brother, man. I really, really appreciate that. Again, when we get to 1 million subs, I'm always going to be humble. We always going to be lounging and having a great time with all of my intellectual peeps joining the live chat as we always do, man. We have a great time here, man, every single week. Go ahead and share this link. Go ahead and repost. If you're on Twitter, just hit the repost. It only takes one action. Just hit the repost. Is that on your phone right now? Boom. Repost. Takes 2 actions with YouTube. Copy the link and then share it on the socials. But hey, man, that's a pretty favorable exchange on your part for a very in-depth free class again this week. So, man, my schedule hopefully will get a little better toward the end of the year. And I'm going to start, my Patreon is fun. We have a great time. We're all on the screen. I give people an opportunity to really have a good time and ask me questions and things like that. I have really, really toned down on spoiler stuff. I do more spoiler stuff on my Patreon. It's just one of those things, man. You understand your market. And I was having a conversation with somebody before. I was actually asking, man, why don't you do a lot on Twitter anymore? One, because you gotta realize you gotta go to a market that appreciates you, first of all, and then secondly, you gotta realize you gotta manage your margins, and you have to be sure to not exhaust yourself. I have a pretty good record, a really good record as far as what my sources have told me throughout the span of, I don't know, probably 8 months or so now. I got one glaring inaccuracy that didn't happen based on what a source told me, but hey, man, I got some really, really good spot on ones. And so a lot of people, they rock with me. They no one's perfect when it comes to reporting stuff, just like, every other reputable, legitimate source. But, it's one of those things, man. One of the things that stopped me, even before the Elimination Chamber, debacle, I was being messaged like, man, where you been? I am so busy. I really am. I'm a full-time therapist. I'm a full-time college professor. I have 6 podcasts a week. And most importantly, I am a husband and a father of 3 kids. And I'm in ministry. And I'm grading dissertations out the wazoo. As a college professor, I'm putting a curriculum together. I'm a chair of the department. I have so much to do in my week. And one of the things I started noticing, man, is I was starting to get too glued on responding to people on Twitter and stuff like that. And I was like, nah, man, I don't have the time for this. And so, hey, still have very accurate reports if you hop on Sportskeeda's Backstage Pass to Feather Bombs. They see the thing is, man, I talked to some, I talked to people. I have really good conversations with people in many variations within backstage of WWE, and have really good discussions about certain things. And so those discussions are on Feather Bombs. And so yeah, that's it's more of a backstage type of deal, behind the scenes type of deal of different things that were discussed and different reactions backstage. All of those things I put on Backstage Pass, and I've got some really close sources. Get some really good intel. Got some Alberto Del Rio stuff that recently came out, as far as some stuff that I heard from some sources. I mean, is as accurate can get, because when it comes to my sources are accurate. And if you, even with the Drew stuff, with the Triple H stuff, when he was talking about like, hey, heard that Drew McIntyre was out and going to be the winner, and I was like, man, what is going on? Who's leaking this stuff? Y'all didn't pick that up, did y'all? I was getting text messages from people saying, I told you so. You know what I mean? I'm like, okay. So it's interesting, man. And so, but one thing I do know is here is home. Here is home. Here is this is my baby that I grew from the ground up. And so what can I do on this channel that I really love to do? And that is teaching. That is teaching psychology, because I love psychology. I love it. I love psychology. I love it. And so that's what I'm doing, and that's what I'm going. That's what I've been doing every week, and it's worked. And I really, really appreciate that, man. I appreciate it. So be sure to share the link. I've got a bunch of comments. Of course, hashtag Ask Doc is the way to go. For those who are here every single week, do that at the end. And be sure to share the link, man. It's let's get these numbers up. The Twitter influence, for some odd reason, I'm not really getting much Twitter bumps in the algorithms anymore. I don't know why. It used to be like really, really huge on the algorithms, but it's not anymore, which is fine, because I want that Twitter audience to come over to YouTube anyways. And that's been working. So sometimes you gotta go back a couple before you go forward, and be resilient and have momentum as far as moving forward, which is a great segue to tonight's discussion. So let's get into it, ladies and gentlemen, as far as the class about being fired from a job. Man, what a life experience. Raise your hand if you've been fired from a job. And and basically, man, it's tough, it's difficult, it's sudden, it's traumatic many times, it's unexpected, it's impactful, and it's it can be catastrophic in many ways, man. People get laid off. They've been in a job for 20 years and, making six figures, and receive the news that there's downsizing and stuff like that. And it's difficult, man. It's tough. It's tough to deal with this. So we're going to talk about the psychological effects of losing your job and getting fired, man. I'm actually going to bring out some terms. People tag me on socials like, hey, I'm taking notes. Great idea. That's a fantastic idea, because like, this is a legit class, man. I have a really good time with y'all, and take notes, get a pen and paper out, or use your phone, take notes about this stuff, man, because it's really important to know. As far as, Lord forbid, you get released from a job or downsize, or you are still dealing with the adjustment, and I'll talk about that soon, from losing a job recently. I mean, I want to speak to you as well, as far as just, encouraging you. So we're going to talk about that tonight. All right. So according to the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics, 3.5 million people have been laid off on or discharged from employment so far in 2025, and that was as of March. So that was the first 3 months. That was the first quarter of the year. So that was as of a couple months ago. So it's been more than that. So a little over 3.5 million as of a couple months ago. And that's actually 2.7% year to year increase. So 2.7% more in February 2025 than February 2024. So it's definitely not a downward. It's not a decline as far as unemployment. There was just a mass amount of layoffs, hundreds of thousands of people laid off from a federal level recently. And it's a difficult thing to do. It's a very difficult process when it comes to letting people go. There's been studies as far as like how do you let people go? I'm not gonna get in more into that tonight, but at the same time, there are studies that talks about, do you quietly let someone go? What's the best way to let someone go to help them transition out more? When it comes to pro wrestling, though, it's difficult because the pro wrestling, even the sports field, even combat sports, any type of sports realm, it's public. It's so public because you have insiders, you have journalists, you have reporters, you have all of those particular people in particular aspects of the sports field that get paid to give to be that conduit between athlete and spectator. And so they give the information, they give the trades, they give the releases, they give when a coach is fired, they give when a coach had to step down, they give scandal information, they give any type of arrest of someone who was arrested for DUI. That's a part of the public sports scene. And so it's not really a such thing as a quiet release, which helps the transition process typically a little more. It's still very difficult to transition psychologically, but at the same time, there's not a quiet release when it comes to pro wrestling. It's report sites, it's insider sites that gives that information, which, I mean, that's what they get paid to do. I mean, that's their job. So there's no knock on that whatsoever. And so that's how fans react to it. That's how wrestlers respond, to that on socials oftentimes. And so the lack of a quiet release, it adds to the levels of stress oftentimes, because now people have to respond to people, explain how they feel. People, there were releases that were very, very surprising. Not all together. Many of them weren't really surprising, but there was one particular that was like, what? Like, you were just in two big feuds on screen. And so that was very surprising. But at the same time, man, and I'll talk about a couple things as far as like a backstage reaction. I'll talk about that on Patreon. But again, quiet release, not really such thing. So it's adding potential more trauma and more stress, because then you got to talk about, then you're hearing reactions from fans. Then you have to deal with, well, that person, it's expected because that person sucked anyways. You know what I mean? Like, that's the type of, especially when it comes to the IWC. I mean, that person sucked anyways. And so a lot of people are like thinking about that, looking at that stuff, and it's not helping anything as far as their peaceful transition. And so those are things that people have to deal with in the pro wrestling field. Leaving employment is not uncommon, though. I mean, and here's the thing that's important for us to understand when it comes to employment. Now, it is a big deal because it's public when pro wrestlers leave their places of employment. As far as, I mean, they're contracted workers, but but employment. But here's the thing: the average working American stays at a job for 4 years. It's actually a little less. And so that's an average person. They stay for 4 years. And studies show statistically that a working adult can expect to change jobs at least 10 times in their career. So if you have a 40-year career, your 30 to 40-year career, that fits with the statistic. You're going to have another job on average every 3 to 4 years. So, there's actually studies show that also the older you are, the more the more stable you are, the higher the percentage of staying at your job for more than to have a longer tenure at your jobs, 7 to 10 plus years. But when it comes to the average 18 to 34-year-old, having that set of jobs, they're going to have jobs. That's the reason why so many people don't put, odd jobs on their resume, because they're trying to transition. They're transitioning from college to career, and they have an opportunity to have a better career job and a bigger career job, and then they have an opportunity to get paid more money. Like, that happens quite a bit when it comes to the workforce. And so that's nothing different when it comes to pro wrestling either. Like, we're expecting someone to be at a pro wrestling job for, 10 years, 6 years. That's just not common. That's even if someone lasts beyond 4 years, they're above the average working American. So when we come, like, anything after that, we shouldn't expect for that person to not, like, it shouldn't be necessarily a surprise for that person to leave their place of employment. There's many factors when it comes to that too. Oftentimes, there's like fiscal meetings at the end of years, and that causes a lot of holiday layoffs. That's very common within workforces. Beginning of the year layoffs, that's also a very common thing. But when it comes to WWE, you have to understand that WrestleMania is like the reset of their calendar year, so to speak, when it comes to wrestling. So like April, that's the reason why, like, spring releases, that's been a thing for years. I mean, it's a common thing. Spring releases are a thing. So basically April in the WWE is like the December in Target, for instance. And so they have that particular time where they have those releases. Hey man, it's a matter of dollars and cents. They say, okay, this person has this amount of money and this contract. And I mean, is this person receiving a return on investment? Are we paying this person and what is this person giving back? And plus they're bringing even, more opportunities for, the acquisition of AAA. They have to do cost cutting. All of those things factor in when it comes to the decision of making releases, acquiring more people. The Penta, Ray Phoenix, Aleister Black, Rusev, like, those are acquisitions that they just recently had. And if they want to use them, they're thinking in their heads, okay, well, there's some people we have to cut. And as a result, I mean, hello, that's with any job. If there's an acquisition or a handful of acquisitions that come to a job, they look at the employment list. Okay, this person makes too much money, and this person isn't really giving us back, or this person isn't really being utilized for their money's worth, and they're not really bringing anything back to the company, and we barely even see them, and they're not even really contributing. Now, we don't know the ins and outs or inner workings or contract amounts when any of these releases. We don't know that. We know the other end. We know the back end. I mean, we know the front end, which is they're released, and we don't want to see people released from a job. But at the same time, we don't see the back end. We don't see how much they were getting paid. We don't see how much they were bringing in. Were they drawing money? Were they a draw at all? Like, we don't know any of those things. And so it's easy for the audience to react to the releases. However, we need to know the whole factor. So those are some of the things that a company deals with from the X's and O's perspective on the back end of the reason why they do what they do. Study shows that, here's the thing. Yes, they do that, and that makes business sense, but at the same time, there's still psychological ramifications that come with someone being released from their job or fired from their job. No matter what the X's and O's and the dollars and cents and the spreadsheets and all that, no matter what happens with that, there's still psychological and emotional ramifications that come with someone being told that they're being fired from a job. Usually that one of the most common emotions that are associated with that is fear and of learning that you've been involuntarily released from a job. And basically with that, the responses to this fear often spans from a negative response, which is, and this is very common according to research, a very negative response, and this is very common, you get a very high level of pessimism toward the future. So you have all these things, and anytime like something really thwarts or throws a monkey wrench, it causes your brain to really start to be affected. Like your brain is so used to this paradigm, and there's a huge monkey wrench to get thrown into it, and now your brain is trying to recalibrate and have this particular certain set of things settled here. Now it has to readjust, and it has to recalculate and recalibrate. And all of that causes your brain neurologically to go into chaos. And you get fearful, and you get very anxious, even to the point of depression. We'll talk about those particular emotions here in a moment. But the thing is, you get very, very pessimistic toward the future, especially as a WWE employee. You're making a butt ton of money, man. I've had many conversations backstage about stuff like this, man, and pro wrestlers make a lot of money. Now, granted, I've also had conversations with people about the types of things that they have to spend. I mean, they spend so much money on, flights past a certain amount, on gas past a certain mileage, level of amount of mileage when they're driving, or less than. They have to pay from their pocket if it's less than a certain amount of mileage. And so like, there's a lot of things that they have to pay for. Of course, they're contracted. They don't have insurance. They don't have benefits. All those things they have to pay for. Food, yes, they do get really good food. I was told catering food was really good. But I mean, that's, once, maybe twice, that you can dig in with that. But what about your traveling days? What about, 12 o'clock at night when you're super tired, but you're super hungry from, working, just finished doing a match, and you're trying to find something to eat. Those things pile up, man. Hotel stays, even if it's shared with the wrestler, those things pile up too. Of course, family expenses, all those things pile up too, especially if you have children. So all those things pile up financially. And so when you're not making that big lumps, that big amount of money that comes with being a pro wrestler, man, you have to learn to adjust. And that adjustment often comes from like it's like a pessim. It's like being paralyzed with pessimism. That's a good way. That's a palatable way to explain it. It's like it's being paralyzed with pessimism. You get into a point where it's even hard to move forward at all because you're so paralyzed in this pessimistic state that you don't even know where to go and where to turn. It's like a big old stack of bricks just hit you because it was so unexpected. You had so many, you're about to go on a vacation, or you're about to go on a big trip, or you're about to do this, you're about to pay for college, like all these particular things that come with, getting to the point of making this level of money, and you don't have anymore. So you have this paralyzed pessimism. That is a very, very common negative response. A positive response, though, is resilience and being able to you get that setback, you get that blow, but you keep moving, and you are very, very aggressive when it comes to finding opportunities to shorten that unemployment time frame. And those are the people who have that built-in resilience. Oftentimes, most of the times, that built-in resilience come from life experiences, come from the ability to do that self-work, to really read books and go to therapy and things like that, to really build in that sense of resilience. And a high level of resilience, statistically, is shown. The higher the resilience, the lesser the fear response, the anxiety response, the depression response when it comes to losing your job. So that resilience has to be worked on while you have that job. So you have the ability to overcome obstacles at the job, to be told that your project wasn't approved, to be told that this was you thought it was going to be this. You thought it was going to get paid for this or this amount. You didn't. You got to keep it moving. You got to keep it moving. Be tough, be assertive, keep it moving if you don't get what you want. And so that's the type of resilience that one should build even before they get fired. So when they get fired, they're thinking like, man, this sucks. Again, like I always tell, I've said it here before, and I say it to my clients all the time. Feel your feels in the moment, briefly in the moments, and then keep it moving. And a lot of people keep it moving without feeling their feels, which is not healthy. Other people feel their feels without keeping it moving, which is also unhealthy. Two sides of the same coin. The most effective, feel your feels in the moment, briefly. Go to your therapist, pray about it, talk to a trusted friend or family member, get it out, keep it moving. All right. Don't hold on to it and build it up. No need to do all that. Keep it moving. That's where resilience is. That's where resilience is. And those things really, really help with job loss. Research shows that due to job loss being one of the top 10 traumatic life experiences, unemployed individuals generally have lower psychological well-being than those who are employed. This is largely due to the feelings of helplessness and even hopelessness from the sudden impact of termination, as it oftentimes unexpected and outside of one's control. So again, like I said, that monkey wrench that comes into that news that you heard. You're making a bunch of money. You're making six figures. And then all of a sudden you get to the point of you get that response of, man, we got to let you go. I'm sorry, we got to let you go. It's like, whoa, that was unexpected. That was unexpected. And therefore, that sudden blow, how is it going to affect you? Oftentimes, though, psychologically, it's that blow affects someone so much that, again, they get paralyzed by pessimism, and it's hard for them to recover or even keep it moving. And so in that moment when you can't even keep it moving because you're so in your feelings, that's when, unfortunately, that's a very unsafe space, man. It really is. It's an unsafe space. It leads to hopelessness. It leads to helplessness. It leads to, this vicious cycle of depressive behavior and suicidal thoughts, even to the point. And there's a disorder that statistically, as much as 1 in 5 patients from an outpatient mental health perspective, 1 in 5 people go to mental health treatment for adjustment disorder. Up to as much as 1 in 5 people go for what's called adjustment disorder. An adjustment disorder is basically like an extreme or a strong emotional or behavioral reaction to an event, a traumatic or stressful event that occurs. And when it comes to adjustment disorder, I've had many clients that deal with adjustment disorder. And there's so many different things when it comes to adjustment disorder. There's divorce, there's termination from a job, there's retirement, there's being diagnosed with the illness, even a terminal illness, or even a mental health diagnosis or neurological diagnosis. Any of those things, having a baby, even like the adjustment that comes with that, breaking up with someone like that. Those things are very common when it comes to adjustment disorders that I give therapy to, and a lot of clinicians, they give therapy to those adjustment disorders. Very, very common when it comes to the psychotherapy aspect. A lot of people who come to a psychotherapy office, they're dealing with some type of, that's the reason why it's as high as 1 in 5. So statistically, there's 1 out of every 5 clients that come to me and any other clinician for an adjustment disorder. That's how common it is in America. And so that's common. And then you have to add what's a common cause of an adjustment disorder from a work perspective, which is loss of job, the transition out of one's job from getting fired. That's an adjustment disorder that's very common as well. Then you have to deal with the financial challenges that come with that. Again, the pessimistic thinking, the uncertainty of the future is a really big aspect to that adjustment disorder. So those things are very, very common when it comes to transitioning out of a job and the adjustment disorder that deals with it. So common reactions that are involved or that are associated with adjustment disorder is depression, anxiety, or even what's considered a disturbance of conduct. And that includes rebellion, being rebellious, being destructive, being reckless, or even being impulsive. Impulsivity is also common when it comes to adjustment disorders. That disturbance of conduct is really important. I mean, of course, anxiety and depression, which are two emotions or two reactions that are associated with adjustment disorder. And we typically, when we diagnose as clinicians, we do, there's a few different types of anxiety disorders that we have to diagnose. With depressed mood, we have like an unspecified. We also have an anxiety disorder with depressed mood. We have a anxiety adjustment disorder with anxiety. We also have a depressment disorder, adjustment disorder with disturbance of conduct, and we also have a mixed adjustment disorder that someone is showing components of two or all of those things. And so those are common diagnoses when it comes to those types of traumatic forks in a road of someone experiencing and anxiety, depression, just a paralyzing fear, a sense of rebellion, impulsivity, recklessness, hyperaggression. All those things are reactions to those adjustments. And so any person who who gets fired from their job, they are susceptible of experiencing any of those wide array of responses, of emotional responses. And so that's why it's really important to not have what's called maladaptive coping mechanisms, which are those responses and those reactions, and also being depressed and isolated is another thing, wanting to be distant from your social circles. When people have those types of, I'm going to feel my feels after being fired, it's very common for distance to occur. You don't want to talk to anybody. You don't want to even talk to your loved ones. You don't want to tell anybody because you're embarrassed. Those things are very common when it comes to the social and emotional and psychological responses when it comes to getting fired. But those are very maladaptive, very, very unhealthy responses. And statistically, it's really important for you to lean in to trusted friends and family to really get to a point of increasing your spiritual health. Going to someone who's in clergy, asking for prayer. Those things are, studies show the importance of having that spiritual health when you have those traumatic adjustments. One of them being fired, unfortunately. You don't want any maladaptive type of responses to this stuff. So if someone, gets terminated from their job, lean in to trusted family, lean in to trusted friends, lean into people who can pray for you, step back, reevaluate, be resilient, say, I'm going to get through this, address the future, reorient some budgets, like do all of those things to help your refocus in order to be able to move forward. Again, feel your feels in the moment, call a trusted friend, call a trusted pastor, call a trusted family member, and have those moments. It's okay. But again, move forward. Because again, if you stay in those feels, it can lead to a very vicious cycle of your stress improving, increasing, and that leading to depressive symptoms and even suicidal ideation. That's how serious those traumatic adjustments can lead to, specifically when it comes to job loss. So be sure to lean in, like, those releases. Look, from from someone who does this as a living, as a therapist, with someone who has a PhD in psychology, and I have a career of being a psychotherapist. One of the worst things that you can do is lean on social media, particularly Twitter and the IWC, to gain any type of solace. Now, my encouragement to the IWC is to lean in and provide solace to these people as much as possible. But at the same time, this is the time for a lot of those people to lay low and to be able to lean into trusted friends and family. Because yes, you post something. Yes, you're in your feelings. Yes, you want to express yourself. Okay, that's cool. It's your socials. But then you have to, but then but then the risk comes where you have a slew of people in the IWC saying something that's just so ill-timed. So ill-timed. And this happens. It unfortunately happens with the very low emotionally managed functional level of so many people in the IWC. They'll just say something that's just over the top and just ridiculous. At the end of the day, people lose their jobs, but the strong ones know how to be resilient and move forward. And so basically that's my encouragement to these people who have been released. It's not over. I mean, a lot of them they're not even, 35 yet. I mean, a chunk of them aren't even 30 yet. So there's a ton of opportunities for you to have. Use this as a learning experience. What have you learned from being there? Because you have spoken up for yourself more, which oftentimes is very, very, very common. It's a very common factor when it comes to that. So continue to be encouraged, continue to have that opportunity to move forward, keep moving on. You got this, and things will move on very, very well. All right, ladies and gentlemen, with that being said, that is it for today, class. Thank you very much, everybody. Let's get into a lot of great awesomeness in the comments section, ladies and gentlemen. All right, with that being said, it is now time for the question cave. Thank you for your continued support. All right, happy 1,000 subs. Happy 1,000 subs. Let's see here. Let's see here. All right, happy 1,000 subs. Thank you very much. Thoughts on people released? Just talk about that. How's my t-shirt line going? Which one? I have a lot of them. Wrestling t-shirt count is up to 352. Wonderful. Absolutely. Let's see. Hashtag Ask Doc Danimal. Do you think some recent WWE releases would just show up in TNA? Indy Hartwell just did, right? Didn't she just show up in TNA? So the answer is yes. I do think they will show up in TNA. I mean, if they get signed with TNA, they'll show up in TNA. I mean, AJ Francis was released last year. He showed up in TNA. Indy Hartwell was recently released. She showed up in TNA recently. Dana Brooke goes from someone who was just thrown in to so many things and so many opportunities. So many opportunities in the WWE, and she went from she was with Charlotte. She was with there was a tease with Eva Marie in NXT. There was a Nia Jax thing. There was she was with the Primetime Players. Coined the Bouncies, with Mandy Rose that I helped put over. She was just thrown everywhere, and so many people just didn't like. She just wasn't making any traction. There was just not any movement, even athletically. So she got let go. But then she became Ash by Elegance in TNA, and she became a tag team champion. And she's way from what I've seen in the socials, she's way more over in as Ash by Elegance than she ever was in Dana Brooke. So again, this right here, this is a perfect example using Dana Brooke or Ash by Elegance as an example. Dana Brooke, oh man, she got let go. She got released. Oh man, that sucks. Okay, well, she becomes Ash by Elegance. And she become way more successful in TNA than she ever did in WWE by a mile. I mean, by a whole country mile. I mean, like it was she. That's the perfect example. Perfect example. Dana Brooke, she was just, she was just yesterday. She was just discarded into mid card. Whoever, wherever, whatever. We'll just throw you wherever we want to. Now she has an identity. I mean, look at Drew McIntyre. Look at Drew McIntyre, ladies and gentlemen. This is the same. Look at Jinder Mahal. Unfortunately, he was released again. But even look at him when he got released. He got to a point where he got like really depressed shape. He was doing indie shows, just very, very stressed out. Very, very similar to what I'm been talking about in this class. Let me get my gimmick, man. There we go. Very, very, very much so of what I was talking about in the class. And this guy was able to have an opportunity. I mean, he wasn't even really ready or prepared physically. And he got an opportunity. He was like, man, okay, I got to go. Like, I got to get moving. I got to capitalize on this opportunity to come back. And he wasn't even like, he didn't even come back from a standpoint of, okay, so we're going to make you world champion. No, we're going to bring it back and, you're just going to be there. You're just going to kind of be on the card. And that's really all you got. No, man, that wasn't it. He was just there. He got in really good, impeccable shape, the best shape that he's ever been in his whole pro wrestling career up to that moment. He owned it. He did it. I mean, he did it like, look, I'm going to take this opportunity like it's my last, and I'm going to get in impeccable shape. I'm going to have incredible discipline, and it paid off. Why? Because he became WWE champion. Drew McIntyre, same person. He got released. 3MB was just a parody. I mean, Jinder Mahal was in that too. 3MB was just a parody faction in many ways. We got to take what you give us. This is just the craziest thing in the world, but we got to take what you give us. Drew McIntyre gets released, establishes himself in Europe, establishes himself in TNA, and he becomes he goes the business of himself, and he creates his brand so strongly that the WWE brings him back. And to this day, I mean, he brought him back in NXT, did wonders in NXT, had a really good NXT run, brought him to the main roster as being, Dolph Ziggler's heavy. Again, understanding his spots, moving with intention, doing what he was supposed to do because he's locked in on being successful, knowing the end from the beginning. Okay, cool. Yep, I'll do my NXT run. Okay, yep, I'll be Dolph Ziggler's heavy. Okay, yep, I'll do all of those particular things to be able to say, okay, at the end of the day, I'm going to do those things that I need to do because at the end of the day, I am going to be successful. And this daggum, shout out to Black Bart, and this daggum WWE, I'm going to be successful and can't nobody, and ain't a daggum thing you can do about it. adjusting my screen here. Ain't a daggum thing you can do about it. That's what Drew McIntyre said, and that's what he did. And he became WWE champion. He became multi-time world champion since then. So there you go. Perfect examples. All right. Let's see here. Eduardo, Cracker Barrel or IHOP for pancakes. Listen, let me tell you something, man. Let me tell you something. Cracker Barrel has unequivocally, you understand that? You understand the syllables that come with that? Unequivocally the best pancakes. Why? Because of the brown, crispy edges, ladies and gentlemen. You tell me what big chain. Now, hey, you know, my city is filled with really great diners, and I love me a diner, man. I love me a good diner. Man. And my city is filled with good diners. But listen, you message me on Google and you give me a picture of a pancake that's better than those beautiful brown crispy edges of Cracker Barrel. All right. And I'll put you over. I'll taste the pancake, and if it's better, I'll say that pancake is better. Until then, I haven't got any competition for Cracker Barrel because it's the best. The best. Elvis, today is May 6th. It's 8 years since my grandma passed away. You know, it's one of those things, Elvis, that, you know, you'll never truly get over moments like that. But again, that's where the adjustment disorder comes in oftentimes. And that's the reason why a lot of us clinicians, we reevaluate it after 6 months, because we do our best to really give people those positive, healthy coping mechanisms in the 6 months after those to really start to adjust and be able to cope with it better. So it's not about, and you know this, Elvis, it's not about, you know, disregarding the fact that your grandma passed away or just ignoring it or denying it or saying that, you know, everything's great. It's just, you know what? I'm stronger. I've learned how to cope with with stuff like this a lot better. And I'm stronger because of my coping. And so prayers continue to go for you, Elvis. What is your new favorite NFL team? Buffalo Bills, Pittsburgh Steelers, Houston Texans, Las Vegas Raiders. I would be revealing that publicly in a few months before the season's here. I was still having some people trying to recruit me for their team during the draft. And yeah, so I'll tell you who it's not, though. Okay, out of this list here, one team that it's not is that one right there. That one. It's not the Steelers, because the Steelers suck. They don't really. I just can't stand the Steelers, you know, because that's the AFC team that, although I'm not a Browns or Bengals guy, it is an Ohio rival. So I can't rock with I can't rock for an Ohio rival, although so many people in Columbus like the Steelers, which I don't understand why. But Will Howard and Will Howard, there's two main, Jack Sawyer. Will Howard and Jack Sawyer both went to the Steelers from Ohio State. So best for them. I wish them the best. Awesome sauce. Do you feel talent who get fired and quit wrestling are the ones who only do it to be famous, like they're only wrestle if it's the WWE platform money, then they'll say they miss wrestling. You know, that's actually a good question, Awesome Sauce. I don't think you can say that from a generic standpoint. Like there's some people who is about the money. There's some people who won't, like an Eva Marie, although she's a sweetheart of a person. You know, speaking of gimmicks, Legion of Raw, man, we give gimmicks to people who don't really have strong ones. And so we gave gimmicks to Veer Mahan and Eva Marie and Mandy Rose and Dana Brooke. And that's become a running thing. Like, hey, you and the whoop whoops. That's the latest thing. We put over the whoop whoops and made the whoop whoops more popular on our show than they are on on the WWE. And Eva Marie, she noticed that we were making her popular on the show, that she started to follow us on Twitter. And so, but Eva Marie, you can tell that, hey, you know, I'm not really doing this wrestling stuff. You know what I mean? Like I can go way further ahead. I had an opportunity from the WWE to make it big and to get a lot of money and to forward my brand. But my brand isn't a wrestling brand. It's more of a fitness brand, for instance. You know what I mean? There's a lot of former pro wrestlers who are like very, very like they have their own fitness brand or their own fitness clothing line because like I'm going to use this to launch me to other opportunities. Like you have not seen the Bellas on other platforms because WWE has launched them to other, you know, endeavors and helped them with endeavors. I think it's incredible business. I think it's a fantastic business decision. Like think about that for a second. Instead of and again, this goes back to the adjustment, you know, cocoon stage in many ways. How are you pushing past? How are you pushing out of that cocoon to become a butterfly? Like using a WWE release to launch, you know, and being able to go on Twitch, dude, you can make so much money outside of WWE nowadays. Start you a YouTube page. If you're not so, you know, if you're not so afraid or scared that I don't want to say the wrong things because I want WWE to hire me again. You know what I mean? Like you're always going to have an opportunity. You're always going to not maximize your opportunity if you think like that. Now, here's the thing. You can say whatever you want, you know, that's non-slanderish. You know what I mean? Hey, be honest. This is my experience in the WWE. This is what I liked. This is what I didn't like. This is who I got along with. This is who I didn't get along with. Like those things people want to know about. Put that joke on the YouTube page. You're good. You're making arguably as much money as you did, or at least comparatively speaking, a very, very sizable income compared to what you would make outside of WWE. And you're not that far from a WWE income. You could easily make six figures if you do what you do and grind, get you a really, really good editing team, like make it really professional. You have so much information to share that people are waiting with bated breath to wait and see what you have to say about certain things. Okay, I was supposed to be here. I was supposed to be in this match. Here's a time where I was supposed to win the world championship. That stuff spreads, man. And people want to come to your channel and know what's going on, you know, with you as far as things that was supposed to happen. I mean, someone like a Braun Strowman, man, dude would make a killing on YouTube. Get you a good editor. Talk to Maven's Peoples, man, because Maven's Peoples, their editing is top notch because they assist with Devon stuff, who's top notch. Like, call Maven's boy up and say, "Hey, look, hey, hey, Maven, look, Braun Strowman, I'm here and I want to talk to you. And who's your editor? And how much is he charged? Let's do it. Let's. I got so much information. I got this. I got this. This is an opportunity. I mean, one of the first things that can absolutely launch out is how they find out and how he got released. And this is the second time. The first time he got released, the time that he wasn't even booked on a WrestleMania show and became Universal Champion. You went from not being booked to becoming Universal Champion because Roman Reigns sat out. Like, that is stuff that people want to know details about. That is a perfect opportunity to start a YouTube page and make a killing, man. There's so many opportunities. People like to go on Twitch. You can, there's live streams with Q&As. I mean, like, Reddit has been the thing for years. People do AMAs on Reddit. Okay, do super chats. Build your YouTube platform. Come on, man. Like this, there's so many things that are way outside of the pro wrestling scene that people can make a ton of money doing, man, with what they already have. James, I heard Scott Steiner is supposed to be in the corner of Pat for his match at Backlash based on a back and forth post they did. Is that true? I honestly wouldn't mind if that's the case. Yeah, I heard about that. I'm definitely not sure. Scott Steiner is supposed to be in his corner, but you'd imagine that they would already promote that, man. Like, Backlash is just a few days away. You'd think that they would promote that, but hey. It is what it is. Awesome Sauce Maven made a vid talking about released WWE wrestlers in that kind of crass, making a vid topic about people being fired for clicks rather than just DMing them. Interesting. That's an interesting take on that. I didn't think of it that way. I thought of Maven. He doesn't follow the business currently. There's a really good chance that he doesn't have any direct contact to maybe any of them. Like, he probably don't have a direct contact to any of the released names. So what he probably did was he got an opportunity to say, okay, this is what I want to encourage you that I'm going to, and you could tell it wasn't even his editing. Like, it wasn't his normal editing. So I took it as, could there be a motive of could there be some type of motive to cash out on making a video? Yeah, I mean, but hey, business is business when it comes to that stuff, man. People, that people are going to want to click on it, and so perhaps he thought, hey, why don't I cash out on that? Well, guess what? And here's the thing: just like I said, those people can start YouTube channels and cash out on themselves by literally saying why they got released and things that pitches that they did and things like that. So, I mean, he's ahead of the curve when it comes to stuff like that, and people can cash out on stuff like that too, man. I doubt that he knew anybody personally, and so I got more of the feel of, this is what I'm going to just kind of do a blanket video. I could be wrong, but I got the feel that he's doing more of a blanket video to express his thoughts on a number of talent getting released. And it didn't seem like he knew, any of them personally. Eduardo, well, wrestlers are public figures, not private individuals, so it makes sense that their employment status is also public. Yeah, I mean, like I said, I mean, it's a athletes, managers from a public standpoint, like even actors. I mean, if someone gets cut from a movie, or there's beef between The Rock and Vin Diesel, which was a thing for a while when it comes to the Fast series. That stuff like that is just public information, man. Like that comes with the territory, and they know that, man. They know that it comes with the territory. Awesome sauce. With the Hogan bashing, you find irony in going after a guy who's made one TV appearance in 3 years because modern wrestling is so boring. And both AEW and WWE are doing record low ratings. You find irony going after a guy. I imagine you're talking about Hogan. Awesome sauce. You know this, man. That's the IWC, man. The IWC is going to, like I say all the time, ladies and gentlemen, the IWC is going to IWC. That's what they do. So if if anybody think anything different, that's on you. I mean, maybe you're a wistful thinker. Maybe you like to romanticize things, but the IWC is definitely nothing, not a demographic that you want to romanticize at all. Eduardo Eloy C-Jax would say WWE released a bunch of jobbers. Who would say that? C-Jax? Who's C-Jax? School me on C-Jax. I was surprised, James, saying that most of our Braun Strowman and Dakota Kai being let go, especially Braun, but I heard all the people let go were because of them being lazy and injury prone. I doubt that's true. Again, I don't know. I don't know. I do know. I have heard some responses backstage, but the causes, I don't know that. That's not information that any of my sources would want to just spout out like that. I mean, like which they shouldn't. I mean, that's just nothing that's completely hearsay. There's nobody from the office that would say something like that. And if that's being spread, someone just made that up. And so, Dakota Kai, I don't get lazy vibes when it comes to Dakota Kai. Braun Strowman, I don't get lazy vibes from someone who's getting splashed and splashing off of podiums and onto cars when he was feuding with Bronson Reed. You know what I mean? And having a bunch of different spots when he's feuding against Jacob Fatu. Like I don't get lazy vibes when I see things like that. All right. So okay. Also MVP said as an ex-con that he only got a second chance because he went to jail and paid his debt, and Hogan didn't watch. Hogan didn't, which is wrong because Hogan got fired 4 years ago. So he's saying Hogan should go to jail. I don't know what he's saying, man. I am not in MVP's head. You probably need to ask him. Well, spring firing is a kind of spring cleaning, as Wardo's saying. Spring cleaning, no spring firing. Yeah, it is. That's how it's been, man. Yeah, that's how it's been. It's been a spring cleaning for a long time now. See, exactly. It's right here. Exactly. This is what I was saying. Eduardo said, the IWC ain't providing no solace. They're calling these people jobbers. Exactly. Spot on. Exactly what I was saying. You got to be careful, man. You don't go to the IWC for solace. They should support, but I mean, like, they're calling people jobbers who just lost their job. I mean, like, enter at your own risk when you go to the IWC. Absolutely. And that's the reason why the IWC aren't your friends. They'll treat you like yesterday's garbage if you don't benefit them. So knowing that, you got to enter at your own risk, for instance, for sure. All right, Zoo Bears in the building. Congrats on 1,000 subs. Ever been accused of misogynistic, homophobic, or even transphobic for saying something not PC or jokes? Should people be canceled for those things, or is it just dumb? Cancel for what things? Being called those things or being those things? That's a difference. Saying a joke or saying something non-PC. I mean, you gotta always. This is what I tell people, man. People disagree on stuff, and it's okay. You know, people have their views. People have their, uh, you know, what they believe and things like that. It's cool, man. I'm all for it. I have my, personal views and things like that. But here's the thing, man. You got to read the room. You got to read the room, man. And this is just kind of a catch-all statement, man. When it comes, you got to read the room and be you. I was just having a conversation with someone from a therapeutic standpoint about this today. I just had this conversation. That you brought this up. Just had a conversation with during one of my therapy sessions. You got to know who you are and be confident in that. You got to stand on business, as the Gen Zers would say. Know you, be confident in you, and understand, like, true maturity is being able to stand on business, be who you are, always be teachable, always be, I call myself a forever student, man. Always, like, read, like, get really into watching stuff, investing and researching about just life and living and improving your EQ and all those things, man. Being able to be stoic in every situation, really understanding the importance of stoicism and stoic philosophy. All those things. Do that daily, like do that all the time. You can still be who you are, but then you have to understand, like, what shade, like what part of me or what element of me or what shade of me is best for this room right now. Like, be honest. Like, for me, people can tell you I'm tough, I'm direct, I'm firm, I'm funny. Like, all those things are me, right? But I don't give two craps. Like, I'll say it. Like, I've never been the type of person that's like, man, I wonder how this person would feel. But that's not me. But at the same time, it's how can you say that here to this person, because this person is sensitive and you know that, versus you might not agree with the sensitivity, but the person's sensitive. How do you say it right here in this space this way? Not saying that you prefer it that way, but if you're in this room, how do you say it? And how do you get to a point where, hey, maybe you shouldn't be around that person as much or allow that person in your space because they're too sensitive? You got to evaluate those things, man. Like, that's where you got to really start to pay attention to who you're around, be around like-minded people, especially with your inner circle, and understand interpersonal communications, man. There's just certain people who you're not around enough to be like fully you, like more of a positive, I mean, I'm not saying like be fully you and like cut up and like be a fool and like just be an idiot. Like, nah, I'm talking about like just shades of you. Like, for me, I'm direct. Like, I'm a very direct person. I just across the board, but there's more of a palatable directness that I have that's more palatable, and I'll, express that in this space, and then I'll just be straight on in this space. And like, but that doesn't take away from the core of me. It just expresses myself in different shades. And you gotta have that type of ability to do that when it comes to interpersonal communications. And, hey, at the end of the day, if you're saying stuff along these lines here, it's like, what's the benefit of it? You know what I mean? Like, that's just something that you have to assess in your mind. I mean, I don't know that answer for you, Zubair, but what's the benefit? What's the payoff? I always say that. What's the payoff? Eduardo, I agree. Cracker Barrel pancakes are indeed the best. Yes. The best. The best. Oh man, these are fantastic interaction today, man. Wonderful interaction. Zubair, try KFC's chicken and waffles for that cheat day and for his fast food chain. What a brunch. Have you ever tried or enjoyed the concept of chicken and waffles? Oh my gosh, are you kidding? Chicken and waffles are amazing. Amazing. Absolutely love it. Axe Doc, Eric, you're making a lot of comments, man. This is awesome. But you have to do Axe Doc if you want him to scream, my man. Great support though. Elvis, did you hear about Duke the dumpster allegations? I have not. Nope. C Jackson, 19-20-year-old YouTuber with about 35,000 stubs, who uploads rants about WWE every week. He basically roasts the entire roster in Triple H's booking. Oh, really? Okay, gotcha. His YouTube is CJax525. Interesting. Never heard of him. All righty. Y'all are awesome, man. Y'all awesome. I gotta go. Oh man, we've been over here hanging out, man. This is also we've been, man. This chat was lit today, man. Awesome episode as always, man. In the books, the psychology of being fired, the psychological effects of being fired was today's topic. Be sure to like, comment, share, subscribe. All these classes, man, they are at your access. For sure, they're at your access. And yeah, man, go check them out. And every week, man, there's something that's really interesting to talk about. And next week, I got an idea for a topic. And I think I'm going to talk about it. But hey, you know, it might be like Monday, and I'm like, I want to talk about this. And I've been doing that more. I've been having like, I used to do like, okay, cool. Let me do a week out and let me talk about this topic. But there's so much that happens in the pro wrestling industry that it's always like making adjustments. And I had a topic that I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna talk about this because it releases. And so, as always, man, it was successful. So thank you so much. Be sure to hit that sub. If you haven't subbed on YouTube yet, be sure to hit that sub. If you haven't followed me on Twitter yet, be sure to follow me on Twitter at Chris Prolific right there. If you haven't subbed on YouTube, do that. You see that? Follow me at Chris Prolific on Twitter and be sure to sub on YouTube, ladies and gentlemen. Until next week, man, you always have a great time with y'all, man. Share. Look, all of you right now that are amazing on the chat. I need your help. I need your help to continue to spread and share the love of Pancakes Power Slam Show. How can you help these free courses every week? You can share, you can like, and it's all about algorithms. I've seen a lot of people like, way more people like than used to. So that's good. You deserve an applause for that. That's awesome. Next step, comment on the videos. All right. That stuff boosts the algorithm. The one that I had a couple weeks ago about The Rock, I had a ton of comments, and therefore, boost the algorithms up. And that's the type of stuff that we need. So here is, I thought about this. I'm always thinking like how to adjust and readjust and fasten and all that fun stuff. Here's your thing. If you're here to the end, first of all, awesome. Again, no drop-offs every single week. Y'all continue to do that. Awesome. I want you all right now to Here's the deal. Here's your homework for this show. All right, I'm gonna start giving you comment homework for this show. Your homework for this show is for you to give us a time in the comment section after this show, comment section. Give us a time where you got fired from a job and be honest, how did you adapt to that? Immediately, within the first week or so, all right? So that is your homework. Give us a time where you got fired from a job and how did you react to that within the first week? And be honest. People need to, I'm a therapist, man. People need to see the group honesty, the group transparency. How did you react to that? Were you depressed? Were you stressed out? Were you trying to go to escapism? Were you drinking? Right? Like those things we need to know about together, ladies and gentlemen. So until next week, ladies and gentlemen, enjoy your week of wrestling. God bless. And always remember, I'll do it for you. Backlash predictions real quick on the after party. We have a good time on there every single week. And some any Q&A real quick that we have in there. We'll all be hanging out, talking. Y'all have a good night, everybody. Solo.